Right.
Nice stuff. Is this looking like my work?
So this is an open meeting, so we record all of our open meetings. Yeah.
All right, so it is 6:30 on the dot. So call to order. We do have some citizens' comments. So Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Evans. I'm on the Arts and Culture Board and the Gateway to the Globe Subcommittee. The Gateway to the Globe event is Saturday, March 29th. We would love to have a sustainability board presence there, like a table or something. And if not, then maybe some volunteers. So that's it. Bye.
Thank you. So mark your calendars. The next agenda item is to consider 3 minutes from the January 8th meeting and take appropriate action. Feedback, edit, motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Minute. Seconded.
Everybody jump at once.
Sorry.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, the motion passes. The next we have some representatives from Dallas College who are graciously spending their Wednesday night with us. They're very appreciative of to give us a update and some pieces on their sustainability initiatives.
Which one do you want to first? Garrett?
Okay, give me the go for it.
All right, give me 1 second. I'm gonna share the presentation for the. Here, make it big again.
All right. My name is Garrett Rosser. I'm the Senior Director of Energy Management and Sustainability. And it's kind of a new office within facilities management. Formerly, sustainability was under a different office within Dallas College, and they've made some changes going back almost 2 years now. So that the function or focus on sustainability has moved over to facilities management. I've been in facilities, first at North Lake and then through our reorganization as Dallas College, excuse me. Ted had worked with us in the facilities group. And then we've got a couple other folks, Sonia Ford and Neil Kaufman. You might skip ahead. I just to the last slide. I should have introduction first. So that's us and contact information. We're always open to emails and discussion. And so one thing that we've all been talking about and trying to find some more intersections with is collaboration with the cities of where we have campuses, which is all over Dallas County and right across the street here at Brookhaven campus. So we've got a lot of connection to community, and we want to keep building on that. And we think there's a lot of power in that. We have sometimes resources that the cities don't, and sometimes the cities have resources that we don't. And really the goal for me, as I see it, we've got academics and then operations side of the house, but really what we ought to be focusing on is creating opportunities for kind of distinction and preparation for students to be going out into the workforce with some sustainability knowledge and some background, and just give them an opportunity. We'll hear from Neil about some cool things going on, and Sonia as well about service learning and just getting students involved in different ways. And then there's the operations side of the house, which is also a lot of what we do. My background is in energy management, so that's kind of my first lens that I look at things, but also, so much of our emissions are tied to energy usage. So you can't really separate the two. So we can go back and just kind of kick it off here. So I wanted to focus a little bit on resource management. As I mentioned, that's kind of my first look, and we've really got the main utilities there, water, natural gas, and electricity. And then also fuel consumption. And we've got a little bit of diesel usage, but most of our consumption is gasoline. So we've been making some strides in all those areas. So what's been going on lately, and we're really focusing specifically on Brookhaven here. But many of these initiatives and measures are applied at every single campus we've got. So high efficiency chillers we've had in the last 2 years, well, maybe going back 3 years for each building. But the last 3 years, S building was done just last summer, and X building we submitted some rebate documentation for, so that's been this last summer as well. So big pieces of equipment, big energy users, and we're prioritizing efficiency through specification, and then as well as providing the opportunity for contractors to provide high efficiency alternatives or alternates to base bids. So that's kind of how we're moving efficiency on equipment selection. Various LED lighting projects. We've had pretty much now, anytime we're doing a remodel, whether it's functional or cosmetic, we're going back through with LED lighting. And then we've even got some areas where we're just, upgrading the lighting as a project in and of itself. Of course, all new construction is LED. Building automation systems. This is really behind the scenes kind of stuff, I think. These are the systems that keep us comfortable. When they work, nobody notices them, and when they don't work, everybody complains. So over at Brookhaven and some other campuses, we had air-driven and pneumatic systems. They kind of reached their heyday in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And so that technology is well out of place. Some of our digital controls were over 30 years old. So all that was due for replacement. And so that's ongoing. We've had a couple of phases of controls projects. And really, getting to do more unique kind of energy management in terms of coordinating systems and getting smarter about, certain selections in terms of modes and things like that, fun stuff. A big energy saver on large motors are variable frequency drives. So Ted and I just submitted an incentive for 11 VFDs over here at Brookhaven. And really that's standard now for anything we've got new going in. And then also would be a feature of those larger chillers and that type of equipment. This 4CP is a rate structure within the ERCOT electricity grid for coincident peak is what that stands for. So essentially for certain large commercial buildings in the summertime, June, July, August, September, those are the four. ERCOT is looking at their total load, and when they hit a peak, they look at these large commercial users and say, well, what was your contribution to that peak? So we try to anticipate when those peak events will occur, and we curtail and reduce our load during this time. So what does that do? Well, ultimately, it frees up capacity for other users on the grid. There's a bit of energy savings that come with it, but it's really not an energy savings technique. It's really more about this idea of making capacity available to others. Roof replacement, you may have seen, we've had standing seam copper roofs, and we've gone to a single ply. Really, that was just plywood and copper, the old roof, an inflation factor of R value of R2, and that's been increased to R30 when we put the new roof on. And then right sizing of the fleet, really, looking at the function of our vehicles, do we have the right vehicle for the type of function that we've got? A big driver of our emissions reductions and fuel usage reduction is moving toward hybrid small pickups. And we've got a lot of technicians that are out the county. And so we're utilizing that instead say a taco or a cargo van or, you know, whatever we had left over, kind of tend to be, you know, just what got put into play. So just being more intentional about that. All right. So here's that S building chiller. You can see that even just the footprint of it shrunk down. So those are essentially the same capacity machine, but one is 60% of the size. So that lends itself to kind of the illustration of how much more efficient is the newer machine than the other.
How old was the old one?
The other one, I think, I want to say 1992. It was original to the building, the S building, which is the furthest south on campus. You can see it from Valley View.
What was the, what was the efficiency? What is it from one to two?
That's a good question. I don't know. So the ratings are the IPLV, you know, part load efficiency is really what we report to Encore for incentives and things like that. I don't know what it was before. Basically, they just look at an age and say, yeah, it was terrible. Right. So, and then they have a threshold, and I don't know off the top of my head what the IPLV is for that size machine. So I can get that information.
No, I was just wondering if you knew off the top of your head.
Yeah, just at a glance, and the biggest thing on those machines is really the compressor type, and that's really come a long way. But all of the condenser fans have VFDs, variable speed, which you can really take advantage of getting down on the power curve. This is a 1,000-ton chiller over at our X building, which is the health sciences, firefighter paramedics receive training there. Always see a lot of Farmers Branch folks over there, and a lot of the other cities. So that's just a big old chiller. I don't know what else to say, but it is higher efficiency and was incentivized by Encore. Nothing real exciting here, just a brand new motor. It's gold, so you know it's special. That would be NEMA premium efficiency is our standard. So anytime we replace a motor, it's going to be that premium efficiency device. And then on the left is a picture of a variable frequency drive, allowing us to speed up and slow down the fans. Here's the lighting retrofit, and even just the quality of light, right, is improved. But we're looking at about a 60% reduction in wattage in this case. You know, just a 3-lamp T12 on the left, and then a flat panel LED on the right. Just another example, and this is in our next building as well. And here's an example. You know, we had a lot of Chevy Tahoes that were purchased for police, and then they ended up as hand-me-downs, so to speak. As we went through our Dallas College reorganization, we kind of started pooling resources and said, well, we need to send teams around the county. Okay, we got these Tahoes, put them in there. So that got us off and going. But, you know, the one on the left gets about 12 miles a gallon. And the one on the right, I think, real world, we're seeing like 38 or 40 miles per gallon. So a huge improvement there. And we do now, with our structure, have more traveling teams. So it's been a huge deal for us. And then near term, we'd like to have electric vehicle charging. You know, we've got police presence on every campus, and they're at the ready in many cases. And so there's some idle time there. So the EVs represent a huge reduction in emissions there. We're going to buy them. We're going to install the infrastructure. For 2 initially, the infrastructure will be there for 4. And we'll keep expanding that fleet. They've committed to having 2/3 of their fleet be EVs. I think they still want to retain some internal combustion for some flexibility. Say, okay, we'll take the ones that we can get. Smart irrigation controllers, there are different brands out there, but they're web connected. They integrate to web service, and they bring in things like rainfall temperature, wind, sun irradiation, and calculate the transpiration rate. So in times where we've got plenty of rain, they back off, and then sometimes the algorithms can get kind of out of whack. Though summer of 22 and summer of 23 were very dry, and we had to really rein in those systems because they said, well, you should be watering 27 hours a day, kind of thing. So, it took some tuning to set those limits, but we think we're going to keep expanding. Brookhaven is set to, in the new fiscal year, that will be September 1, be implementing things there. And then, again, those direct digital controls, we'll get those wrapped up in the next, probably the next 2 cycles.
Oh, these are my slides. I recognize that. So I'm Neil. I work on, my projects tend to be around plants, plant-centric kind of things, horticulture, agriculturally kind of things. I'm a plant person first and foremost, or a sustainability professional, and then by through the lens of plants, or vice versa. So I started with Dallas College about 3 years ago, 3 years and a few weeks. And my work has been to help support our campus sustainability projects, our campus gardens, and then sort of whatever else I've been kind of it's been gnawing at me, and some things that have been gnawing at me. We'll talk about some of those, but some of our I'd say our kind of our keystone projects are our greenhouse that's at the Mountain View campus. It's 20 feet by 40 feet greenhouse, and when I first got to Dallas College, it was had just sort of been left alone from COVID lockdowns, and like just sort of like a left alone, right? Like no one even tidied up before, they just left it. And it was aquaponics lab before, so it was like about as gross as you can imagine. We left alone for about 3 years, and two years or so at least. So I took out almost all of that, and a lot of that stuff that was there, and then we rebuilt it so that half of it is nursery benches that we use to grow seedlings for all of our other campus projects that are within our portfolio, and support other programs that we do. It's just, it dawned on me when I was talking with some of our campus partners, and they say, yeah, they have to out of their own pocket spend money on foreign transplants. Well, we shouldn't have to do that. So we do that here now. We propagate our own cuttings, and then on the other half we have hydroponic. We have a grow rack. We have a set of Dutch buckets, and then this deep water culture pond. That lettuce that we harvest, we donate to our campus pantry. So we're feeding students, and students are the only ones doing it. I've gotten to where I don't really spend too much time in the greenhouse now. It's student workers and volunteers that are working in there. So it's students feeding students, which is always kind of where we like to see, our work go. So, and then we've got food gardens on a few of our campus, Brookhaven, of course, North Lake, Eastfield, Cedar Valley. The Brookhaven campus, we'll go into the Brookhaven campuses, but the pollinator garden, we've got one at Brookhaven, Cedar Valley, Richland, and then Prairie Projects, of course, Brookhaven, Cedar Valley, and Mountain View. So those are projects that he couldn't be here tonight, but John Wilt is our Prairie Project lead. And he started out as a, retired pilot, who was just like, I love prairies and I love plants. And so we brought him on to help kind of, really lead the way on all things, prairies and grasslands. So he's a master naturalist. He's a urban forester, all the things. And he's been doing a tremendous job on renovating a lot of our spaces. So I forget the exact acreage, but something like 15 or so acres that we're doing really kind of intensive restoration on throughout all of our properties. Much more secondary, less intensive. So the first picture is at the Mountain View greenhouse, and the second one is the North Lake Memorial Garden. So our Brookhaven projects, that includes, of course, the Master Naturalists Pollinator Garden, which we're really quite proud of. It's a relationship that we, we value tremendously that partnership, as they do a lot of work. This morning, they were out there. So they're out there first Wednesday, I think, or second Wednesday, and then fourth Sunday in the mornings, pulling weeds and really making that space something else. It's one of the most highly dense biodiverse areas, spaces in the area. So there's more pollinators in that little tiny garden than there is anywhere else around town. So we're behind that garden, in about a 2-acre space. There's John has been working on turning that into a prairie, so it'll be connected to it. So you'll see now it's all tilled up, and in partnership with the Stephenville. They have a program out there where they do prairie. They supply prairie supplies. So they're working with us to donate seeds, and they're doing some seed tilling for us. So we'll have 2 acres of prairie adjoined to that spot.
Now, will that be behind the garden on the west, behind it on the west, or are you talking on the north side?
I don't know which cardinal direction, but it's like, if you're in the parking lot looking at this garden, oh yeah, there it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's exactly what it is. Yeah,
It's on the south side.
yeah.
Great. Okay.
And then, my hope, and I think it's actually a lot of people's hope, I don't think it's just my crazy idea, but our hope is to see that prairie as like the start there, but then to work our way outwards. It's a win-win with grounds and landscaping, less they have to mow. We can increase the beautification. Brookhaven, as you all know, more so than any of our campuses, has a deeper relationship with our walking trails to the community. It's much more interwoven with the community. And so there's so much value in beautification, but also in advocacy and education. And so, this is something we're quite excited about, and we're going to keep investing in. And then if you can go to that last. Yeah, so on the right, that's our the garden club. So as of this semester, we have a student club called the Garden Club, and they meet weekly or bi-weekly to just what they're working on is converting the landscaping beds on campus at Brookhaven into food beds. So we're growing lettuce and other leafy greens, garlic and stuff. Basically taking it off the hands of the groundskeepers, and these students are doing it, and then we'll be harvesting that and then donating that as well. So that's kind of the work that we've been doing. Okay.
And do you know how many students are utilizing the food bank or the food programs?
So the food pantry, I don't know, because I wouldn't know.
Okay, a lot of our athletes use the food pantry. Because, they have very little money and they're piled into the park together.
Yeah.
They do use it.
I do know a lot. I don't know if that's not a precise answer, but
Sure.
it is.
Popular program.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
very popular.
That's all I was, I think.
Yeah, and
Well, it's not just athletes, but athletes sometimes are the ones who.
Yeah.
yeah, so there's no, or very little fresh food in the pantries, so I think with the, with the influx of food that we grow on campus, by students, for students, that's just something else that we can sort of complete that circle with what we're trying to do. So we're quite excited to see where this keeps going. But yeah.
Are you seeing a lot of student driven, interest in sustainability and kind of, or is there like percolation also from the top or kind of both?
Well, so I don't invest my time into something unless a student is like pulling me and dragging me into that. And I don't mean that like to be too silly, but like if they, I'm not gonna, take it more time for my other projects unless there's a dedicated group of students that are saying, hey, this is really what we want. And then we'll invest in that. So yeah, the answer is yeah. There's students popping up all the time that are expressing interest in that. So yeah, there's quite a bit.
Where's the greenhouse at El Centro?
So El Centro, that's on the roof.
I was gonna say, it's like, I was gonna ask, is that on the roof? That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. That one is now being used, I think they have like a green club that's been using that. But the one that I work most closely with is at Mountain View. Well, I think that's all the.
Mine is next.
Yes.
Just there you go. And
See, it'll take it a minute.
So anyway, my name is Sonia Ford, and I am the Assistant Director of Sustainability Special Projects. So what does that mean? It means I do it all. That's what it means. So you'll see. I do a lot of student engagement. I do a lot of recruitment on the faculty to lead our student green team. I can do anything from assessing projects for efficiency, coordinate the events, just a bunch of things. Gary can vouch for that. So this was the agenda that I just did today, and I wanted to just give you a little idea because I think what has happened is pre-COVID, we all understand we were all colleges. So when we were all colleges, that means your main focus is on that campus as a sustainability project coordinator, or even as a sustainability director, which that's what we had at Brookhaven. And so we had to lead everything. But then we had reorged, and we came into, all the sustainability project coordinators were removed from the campuses, and now we were down at the district office. We were under the leadership of Georgia Moss, and we had specialized areas that were created. So let me see. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. Overview of the student green team structure. I'll share that with you, and then the mission and vision, partnerships, and the handshake comes into that. So we will be able to have partnerships, access, the handshake, create an account there, just like the students do. So it's a connection for the employers and the students, and you post your vacancies on there. And so it connects the students to all of that. So I'll share a little bit about that. Then, of course, our upcoming events, and then the Dallas College sustainability website that is still a work in progress that we are updating now. We have the Sustainability Summit that's coming around the corner. So, and then of course, the Q&A session.
Sorry, I didn't realize.
That's okay. That's okay. So under the umbrella of DCCCD, we had 7 separate colleges. We had 7 separate budgets. We had policies and procedures. Then we had sustainability coordinators, sustainability project coordinators, and of course, a director of sustainability. And then, as I said, our role was to lead the one college sustainability events and activities and projects. And so, let me see where I'm at. Okay, and so to bring, for the Student Green Team mission, to bring education awareness to the college-wide campus and community via events, activities, and projects. So we had to do it all. When we had the one college, now under the new, we're going post-COVID. So now we have the one Dallas College, and we have the 7 campuses under that umbrella. And we have one budget, and then we have the policies and procedures that are going across the board to all campuses. And then now the sustainability coordinator, sustainability project coordinator, and the director, like I shared with you, was all removed. During that time, we reorganized, like I said, under Georgia Morse, and we were under the Office of Social Responsibility and Inclusion in 2021. And then that's when the specialized areas of education, operation, student and community outreach, agriculture.
East Farmers Branch Fire Department, 1900 speaker test.
So then in February 2023, Georgia Moss retired. And sustainability was reorged to facilities under the new leadership of Gary Rosser, Senior Director of Energy Management and Sustainability. And he has a staff of 3 to service 4 campuses. So I tell you, we've got a monumental task here. So I'm gonna show you a picture of the Dallas College Student Green Team, and you can go ahead and go to the next. And so this brochure has been created. It's been a collaboration between myself and the faculty in creating this brochure. And the framework, as you see there, the UN Sustainable Development Goals. So we built all of our projects, activities, events based on that. As you see on this brochure, we have campus faculty advisors now that can lead the Student Green Team. We had big challenges when I came to Brookhaven, was housed in Brookhaven. I couldn't get any cooperation. I mean, nobody was willing to come in onto the sustainability, whether they were faculty or whether they were students. It was a very difficult time. However, we have made progress. And so now you see for every campus, we do have a faculty lead advisor for the Student Green Team. Brookhaven right now seems to be taking the lead when it comes to faculty constantly contacting me via email. They want to come on board either as co-advisors or also come to incorporate sustainability into the curriculum. So they're taking the lead. Also, the students are taking the lead because now we have 29 Student Green Team, as I was told this morning, that have come on board. So things are moving along. We're making some progress here. And as you can read the mission, I don't think you need me to read the mission for you. But underneath that mission, we have the QR scan code for the service learning, which gives the students their volunteer hours. And so what this does for them at the end, when they're getting ready to graduate, if they have completed all of the hours that are required under sustainability, then they get a green cord. And what else is it that they get? A certificate. And so this is what we offer our students, and especially with the dual credit students, it's sort of mandatory for them to complete 15 hours every semester. So we can depend on having them with us for the next 2 years, where we have the regular college students that would be leaving, each semester. Next one. So you see some of the awards. We have many awards throughout the Dallas College, but these are some of our awards. You see the Campus Living Labs, because that's how we go ahead and do our projects and events and lab assignments and all of that. So as you see the list there, we have the Campus Garden, food banks, e-waste and recycling. We do have an event that's coming up in April, so I'll share that with you. We have lake cleanup and campus cleanups that go on each semester. We're having the Sustainability Annual Summit that's going to be coming in the fall. And it's going to be done slightly different. And then of course, in order for each campus to have either their certification or their recertification with the Arbor Day Foundation, True Campus Higher Education, we have Arbor Day events that go on the campuses. And I do a lot of the applications to make sure that, we are out there nationally showing them that, we have best tree management practices going on at the Dallas College. And of course, we have the campus Earth Day events that are coming up. We have a couple of them that have already committed to it. And then the Earth X volunteering, we have that for the students as well. There's opportunities for them. And then, of course, we do try to do field trips and conferences, but we haven't gotten to that yet. I am still working on that. And then, of course, you see the opportunities in terms of service learning credits for, also for community service as well. So, we have a way of tracking those credits. And then especially for the community service credits, because some of our students, especially the international students, they seek to get a full scholarship at the university. And there is a section on that application that they want community service or service learning. They want to know if you have been contributing And so that's where I would come in and I would, complete that part of the application for them. And then you see some of the work study, we try to give them opportunities for internships and match them up with green industry, but the handshake came in, and I tell you, that is a great resource for us to really connect the student with industry, whether they're green industry or just, businesses out in the community, it does connect them. So also we have research projects on some campuses. We have the STEM program at Richland College. They come up with, they have a biodiversity project that is kind of pending right now, but they're willing under that grant, to compensate both faculty and students with a little monetary funding. And but we do have the research going on campuses. It's available to everyone. We do a lot of collaboration with the student clubs, and we especially have a close relationship with Phi Beta Kappa and also with the Student Government Association. They take the lead on and really getting in there supporting our sustainability initiatives with the Student Green Team. We have life skill mentoring. We haven't gotten to mentorship. We haven't gotten to that yet. And then also, like I said, we happen to help in the transferring of the students for their scholarships at the university. So I thought I'd just kind of brighten your evening and show you some of the things that we do get involved in. So as you see, we have birthday celebrations, and then of course reduce your footprint, and that's Neil's area of gardens that goes on. So you just see a little bit of everything that goes on. Next one. Oh, so here we are, building lasting partnerships and internships and grants. And so just kind of showing you some of the partnerships that we do have. If you go to the next slide. We have, this is where you see that QR scan code. If you guys go ahead and take a picture of that or use your cameras for that, then you can access that, create an account as an employer, and then start posting your vacancies on there to connect our students. Very cool. So these are some of our upcoming events. If you want to take a snapshot, we do have a lot going on. We do have a tree farm at Richland College. And so we are working with the Texas Tree Foundation, who is one that manages that farm. And now they're giving us even more days to, begin to educate not only that campus, but all campuses for the students and the faculty to come to the tree farm and, to the education center that is there. El Centro is giving a fashion sustainability event. I think I'm gonna be there.
That a fashion show. Yeah, I've never been to one of their fashion shows. You gotta go. It is a.
Yeah, with recyclable materials. So that's gonna be coming up.
Because it's the band students, the music students do all the music, the lighting students, theater students. Very quite a show.
Here, students. And then, of course, I think you're aware of the Sierra, the Dallas Sierra Club, Earth, Wind, and Fire. When I was first approached about that, I was like, Earth, Wind, and Fire, are we having that group here? We said, no. I was like, okay. But I have been assisting them in making sure that, their needs are met and that everything is running smooth. Eastville College, if Garrett wanted to talk a little bit about it, they're going to be having a tree planting, planting 100 trees on March 21st there. So that's a lot of student engagement that we can get going there. Then we have the e-waste event. So did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, and I think there has been some discussion maybe about collaboration. We have worked with the city of Garland on a couple of prior events, and we've just said, let's keep it going. We've partnered with them on just identifying different waste streams that are kind of hard to dispose of, electronics, They had a grant to do tires. We brought in secure paper shredding,
Yeah.
and then, they had brought in the Worldware, for clothes recycling. So, the last event, we had those 4 streams. The first was just electronics and paper shredding, and that was, well attended over in the summer. And we got lucky on the weather, but, the spring and fall tend to have better turnout for those sort of events. And so, the spring should be big. The fall, I think we had about 300 residents.
It was like
Or 300 cars.
300, yeah,
Vehicles.
350, yeah.
And so just huge. They got rid of 80 plus tires, what do you do with the tire? But, they got it figured out. And then, the electronics is always a big deal. Just the obsolescence that just keeps happening, and are you disposing of those things safely? We give the opportunity to help make that happen. So that's been a great partnership, and again, something we want to expand to our other municipal partners, and just figure out how do we make it work. We have manned them, and we've had students. We had Berkner High School students come out and assist. So it doesn't have to be just Dallas College folks. It didn't have to be just Farmers Branch folks, really. I just think the sky's the limit on what we can do with those type of events. So, and we've got a lot of space, and we've got oftentimes support from police. So that's all good. Keep people safe and keep traffic flowing. We also, City of Garland provided some support from their streets department with some barricades and things like that. So it really was a great joint effort. The Texas Trees Foundation event at Eastfield, we're going to continue to look for those opportunities, but this is another big tree planting with a corporate sponsor. Someone mentioned the PTK, Phi Theta Kappa, is the honor society. And you'll find a lot of overlap between the brightest students in the honor society and the sustainability, I'll say kids, students, it strikes a chord with them, they get it, and they show up. But PTK really wanted at Eastfield to have some improvements to walking trail, and it just kind of came together that Texas Trees Foundation was looking for partnership as well. And so we're excited to see that come.
Yeah, we didn't mention the one at Richland that we did last year.
Last spring.
Soccer field and their walking trail, we were planting 100 trees there. The Texas Tree Foundation. So the Campus Earth Day event, like I said, we have 2 campuses who have so far committed to that. Then we have Earth X for the students to volunteer, get some audience experience there. We're gonna be having the Sustainability Summit, and it's gonna be in person. And if Garrett wants to talk a little bit about it, it's gonna be a little change. So I can tell you from my lens, what I had in mind, and it was, and then Garrett can tell you what he had in mind, and we're bringing it all together. But I was thinking that each one of our campuses are so unique in their demographics. And we have enough resources at the Dallas College and enough talent in the Dallas College that we can utilize our faculty as well as our students to really educate their campuses about their sustainability initiatives. And so we are going to attempt for the 14th Annual Sustainability Summit to do 3 campuses in the fall, and also do the rest of the campuses in fall of 2026. So that is our goal, to do that. And what we're hoping is that the community will come in, they will see where their tax dollars are going, and learn, about the different sustainability initiatives that each one of our colleges offers. And we're going to have community engagement, where we're going to have the exhibitors participating in it. We're going to have where I'm trying not to go blank here. But so we have the community engagement side, the student engagement, the faculty engagement side of it all. And we're gonna have also different activities. So hopefully some of the campuses will want to do their Arbor Day event. So that'll give the community, an opportunity to come and join us on some of these activities that we'll be having on the campuses. So Gary, did you want to go ahead and?
Yeah, that pretty much nails it. In the past, we've done one large event on one campus. And we just really saw an opportunity to try and take that to more students on a little bit reduced production, so to speak, but still focusing on students and really making it accessible and giving more opportunity. Really is what it boils down to. So that's what we're going to be focused on. It's tough for a lot of our students to travel, and some folks don't have an interest in going across the county. It would be hard to get someone from down in Lancaster, Cedar Valley, to come up this way for an event. So we're just trying to spread the love and make sure that our students have access to those activities and training, and again, trade partners, as Sonia had mentioned, would come in as sometimes as sponsors and other times as presenters. They have something that's technical in nature that's of interest to the students. We would look to our vendor partners to provide expertise in those areas. So just a lot of collaboration on those as well.
And then the last one is what we call Tracks Conference, and that's going to be April 6th through the 8th. And it's going to be held St. Marco at the Texas State University. Well, this is our sustainability website here. At least this is from it. And so it is under construction and, updating some of the information, but it is accessible to you. So I thought I'd bring that to your attention. Any questions? Any Q&As?
Hey Garrett, is your building management system for each campus, is it centrally located like in a control center, and then that goes for all the buildings? So you have the central location, or do you have the BMS in each building?
That's really part of yes and no. So at Brookhaven, we had, and you'll find this on large institutions, we're not unique in this way, but multiple control systems, multiple generations on one campus that may or may not talk to one another.
Right.
So our first moves have been to implement infrastructure that allows a consolidation or a crosstalk of those systems. And there's a lot of information out there, and a lot of different products are capable of doing that nowadays. So we've made a decision to go with a certain product that is capable of bringing those disparate systems under one umbrella. And some campuses, were all one vendor, one provider from the beginning, and they kept on that track. Others kind of fell victim to, maybe a campus didn't have a preference, or they had something, and they're like, well, whoever was
bid that time for that machinery.
or it may have just, we didn't have an opinion, so what's available? So, but we're trying to make that more cohesive, but the plan is to have a one-stop shop where any campus could be managed from any other campus. And that's really how we're going to structure our personnel and our building automation teams, so that, hey, I'm not sitting at Richland College, I'm not sitting at Brookhaven, I'm down at Cedar Valley. But someone's sick and I can take a hot cold call, I can get into that system and take care of things. So that's the way we're headed.
Your team responsible for like procurement, criteria for stuff like that, or is it like a different team that did that?
That is, also underneath me is our building automation team, and so we're very involved in specifying certain products. So whether that's equipment or features or defining certain components that are, non-negotiables and that sort of thing, So it wasn't always that way. So I think a credit to our facilities department for allowing us to have a voice in that process. So it's gone a long way in terms of, as I mentioned before, maybe someone didn't have an opinion in the past and things just kind of happened. We may not have the right opinion, but at least we have one, and we're kind of going in a uniform direction.
Any other questions?
Any of your buildings have any sort of like energy management certifications or anything? Or?
We have several lead buildings, and really on the building and construction. So in my world, I think, the existing building operation and maintenance, that's where the rubber hits the road on how is a building performing. We haven't certified any buildings into that. I think we probably could and should certify a couple of our buildings as Energy Star rated buildings. I think we would meet that threshold, right? It's the 75th or higher percentile of buildings that are comparable in the area and at the same time. So I think certainly at this point we have some buildings that would qualify for that. So it's a matter of getting some third-party verification on our usage and pushing paperwork. So, but I think it would be worthwhile. I think we've worked hard in a lot of cases to improve buildings, and it would be nice to kind of have those medals around our neck, so to speak.
Is there a lot of your, when you're doing new construction or even with existing, because I think yeah, but putting solar on the roof, so you are in the areas, so you implementing that?
We haven't had a standard around solar. We haven't done any large solar. We've got a little bit here at Brookhaven. We've got a little bit at Eastfield, and I would characterize them more as kind of demonstration size. I believe this one is 14 kW. I think Eastfield is 11 kW. So I'm sure there's some houses in the area that have comparable, size systems. But it's kind of interesting in terms of, energy master plan. It just comes later on. We have a lot of efficiency first initiatives that we're focusing on. And it tends to be a lot more effective fiscally to save a kWh than to generate it. So that's the phase where we are now. Yeah. And there's a lot of that type of work to do.
Especially with the big mechanicals with your new chillers and all that.
Absolutely. LED lighting controls, those are the big ones for us.
Do you guys do any greenhouse gas emission inventories or anything? Operations there?
Prior to kind of this reconsolidation, there had been an effort to do a greenhouse gas inventory. Really focused on scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. I don't know how close we were on gathering any of the scope 3 data and our commuter information. I do think we know where people live and we know where they're going to campus, but we don't exactly know how they get there every day. So that piece is a bit hard to ascertain. But certainly scope 1 and scope 2, we know very well, what we're considering here. So I think another question mark we had, and I think it's minor, but it would be the nitrogenous wastes from fertilizers and that. So in the past, I don't think we had a great accounting for that. But I think now maybe better equipped to kind of support those type of queries.
What sort of courses are available at the college that do kind of like what you do?
There's nothing formal right now. We've got a meeting on February 25th, I think, with the vice provosts. So organizationally, Dallas College has 7 schools of, and each one has a vice provost, and they report to the provost. So we're going to meet with them and talk about opportunities to formalize sustainability education. Whether that's through continuing education or credit course, or even micro credentials. I think those, it's a very hot topic right now to have kind of some milestone achievements that students can hang their hat on, or as an upskilling. So it's a bit new of a concept for me. I'm kind of more like getting a good old degree, right? But I think it just points to kind of how education is moving in some of these incremental upskilling, and it requires more, I guess, frequent engagement maybe than we might traditionally be used to. So I think the landscape of education is changing there. So what I would love to see and what I'm hoping for is kind of a capstone elective type course that would marry, case studies, service learning, get our students, hands dirty and culminate in a project. So we're trying to figure out how and where that might fit in.
All right, well, I just want to say thank you for all you're doing in the community, especially lending your people, your parking lot, whatever it is. You guys give so generously of your resources to us, and we just really appreciate that. Community colleges are such a jewel in any community, so really appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And y'all are welcome to stick around for the rest of the meeting, but you're also welcome. Head home if you got a little bit of drive.
If you want to take some chicken
Yeah.
fingers and get
That's true, you did.
No. I'm gonna do it against notice.
You know what? Yeah, go for it. Huh?
It's gonna be something. Neil, will you be available for Saturday, Fridays? This is.
I doubt it, but I mean, you better, I'll check it. That's fine. You mean related in terms of like, closer than I am to Bill, probably.
I'm gonna see you.
That's one by I did. And I had a teacher, sure, when you are.
I'll be
2006.
Anyone need
But I had an
this?
instructor teacher and vanilla ice right here.
It must be.
Like,
I don't remember.
a lot of people. Yeah, but he was like, I'd be there, I'll be Van Winkle right here. He's like, me and Suge Knight.
Lord, not sure what the beginning of that sentence was. Sure what the beginning of it.
In Medic 132, Log Score 211, Stroke, at 4000, Boulevard, Farmers Ranch, Unit 2616, Cross Street, Sparkbridge Boulevard, Contact Tab 3, Time Out 1928, Engine 132, and Medic 132, Log Score 211, Stroke, at 4000, Outside Center Boulevard,
Thank you very much.
Farmers Ranch, Unit 2616, Cross Street, Sparkbridge Boulevard. Found on tax free. Time is 1928.
It's way cooler when it's fantasy and you actually had the,
No,
it's fat, it's fat, you're calling it out.
Suzanne, I see you. Okay, fair. Thank you.
all right.
Did we get the hot chocolate out there?
She's gonna pull out her hammer and see.
We'll keep moving along because I know we still have a fair amount of the agenda to get through. So I will turn it over to Alex to give us the staff update on sustainability mission.
All right, so I mentioned last time, but the boards and commissions banquet is Saturday, February 22nd, 6 p.m. at venue 1842. Be sure to RSVP by the 14th. Have the QR code back there on the desk. If you haven't RSVP'd yet, you should have had one of those mailed to you, but if for some reason it didn't get to you, it's back there. SoulSmart, we made changes to the ordinance to make sure that we were in line for that gold level of designation. So that is currently being reviewed by legal. Once we get that, then we'll start going through the process of back to P and Z, for them to approve it as ordinance change and then to city council. When we get that, we'll get our webpage, our landing page and solar checklist and everything up on our webpage, and that should hopefully, get us there. All right.
They're like, now no go for North. All.
Some people are definitely
Would you like another hoodie?
ready
I
for
have
some.
a spare.
So get the thermostat up there. I trust you to use it.
Yeah.
Lead for cities.
That's a big responsibility. Are you sure, Alan?
All right. Lead for cities. So we are moving forward with that. We are scraping by on some of the prerequisites. I think a lot of that is due to when these population things are from. A lot of these items are on a per capita basis. If you look at our census data, we were trending much higher prior to 2020. I think maybe had a drop off where there's people that are actually participating in the census, perhaps because we built a lot of things in the city, but our population kind of went down.
Mm.
So that kind of impacts our per capita metrics, and we have to use that census data. So that's been an interesting thing, trying to make sure that we can meet all these prerequisites in order to move forward with the Lead for City certification. So I think we're in good shape on all of those. The last one will be our greenhouse gas inventory, which we're updating for 2023 data. Our last one was 2019, so we're ongoing with that. So that's a piece of the puzzle for Lead for Cities. The active transportation plan. So we received the first draft, had a ton of staff comments. I think I mentioned last time, the formatting was very academic. You had to dig pretty deep in it to find that here's what we're planning to do. They have received most of those comments and are starting to put that what looks like a more formal plan. So we're trying to identify the time where we can take that to council. We do have the elections going to come up in May, so it's like we would either need to have it before or after and not split in between. Because there will be a study session portion to introduce or reintroduce that topic to council, and then a vote for approval. Grants, we submitted for an urban heat measurement grant. So we should hopefully hear about that one at the end of the month. We'll be submitting for some TxDOT trail funding on the east side here along Inwood. There's an encore easement that we've looked at putting some trails in, so we're trying to get some funding for that. And I submitted a grant last Wednesday through the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality for 3 electric vehicles. So that would cover about $69,000 of the purchase for those 3 vehicles.
And are those state funded or?
One of them is like private, the urban heat measurement grants, the TxDOT trail funding and TCEQ EV grant, both from the state. So unsure if those are federal pass-throughs.
Right.
If you're in the grant space right now, you know that there's a lot of question marks with that. So we are applying. We haven't heard anything that the program is being canceled or anything like that, but kind of ready for everything right now.
And are we, I know some of the grants that you had done in the past where, we pay up, the city pays up front and then they are reimbursed. Are we?
That's how most of these are set up, is the reimbursement. On the trail funding, that would be 80-20 match, so 20% city, 80% from the state.
Okay.
And then the TCEQ grants are a flat 23,000 per vehicle. So they don't cover full costs, but they make a significant dent in the purchase price. Water rebates, we're up to 112 toilets that have been approved and 13 irrigation checkups. We did a little bit of promotion on that this past month. We'll probably hit that pretty hard in the spring. Kind of once we get through all of our freezes, I have a feeling a lot of the irrigation checkups will hopefully come around. So we're trying to get that information to people now, so when they think about it in March, April, when they start to turn on their sprinklers, that they can utilize that program. Power Switch, we're taking signups till March 1st. Solar and EV ready building codes. This is something that we talked about before. It was presented to the city council in 2023 and didn't really get any traction. Unfortunately, the building inspections group is not recommending adoption of these appendices. So that is conflicting with sustainability goals. They do plan to include it as guidelines, but that's something that maybe is more awareness. You know, if you're talking to people in the community, talking to your council members, something to kind of bring up. But so that one is not great. The overall direction with most of the cities in North Texas is anything that's not a required part of the international code that's listed as an appendice is potentially detrimental economically to builders. And so that is the thought there. So
Just for that question? Oh, did they say why? Oh,
yeah, it's an extra hoops for developers and builders, basically. So if it's not in the overall plan that the region has put on, they want to add additional things for a city that would make it harder to build here than somewhere next to it. That's kind of the thought. So they are planning to include it as guidelines, so it's there for developers as they're going through the codes to see, hey, if I do want to build solar ready, it's not that much harder to do, or if I want to build EV ready, here's how to do it. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at right now, unless we get a different policy direction. So
incentives that can be put around. Or adhering to the guidelines?
Not really. I mean, there are some cities that will do, like, for example, if they have a high priority to get solar on homes, that they will actually like waive permits or reduce permit fees for solar. However, the way that works is it takes away revenue, which normally funds the permit review process, the inspectors, so they have to balance that out. So there are policy mechanisms that other cities nationwide do, but we don't currently have. So that's where that one is. Lauren attended the board chair meeting that for all the boards and committees, and they kind of, one of the things that some of the committees were asking for were like more full direction from council on what they wanted the committees to focus on. For us, we do have a sustainability plan. That's kind of our main focus. So we're pretty good with that, and kind of after that meeting, the council met about it. I think the last council meeting, they kind of encouraged the flexibility. You know, these are independent bodies, they're appointed by council, but they want to bring, they want all of your experiences, your information, and bring those things. All of our stuff is kind of around the sustainability plan, so we sort of have a framework that I think other committees don't necessarily have. So I think some of the issues that maybe other boards are having aren't really as relevant to us. But yeah, if you're in the community and you talk to your elected representative, feel free to ask them what they're interested in. If they're interested in water conservation or something like that. We can't necessarily ask that question to all 5 council members and mayor. That kind of constitutes a rolling quorum. A walking quorum. Thank you. But that's something that y'all can do. Or, I mean, I do think that last meeting was a good example that showed, hey, we researched what other cities are doing. How does it relate to our plan? These are some ideas that we can build off of. And,
Giving them doing the ranking like we did the first, like we're not.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that. So we got dinged on that.
Okay.
Last time. So that was one of the things that they brought up too. And last meeting, we talked a little bit about trying to highlight some of our work on the sustainability plan, especially kind of to audiences that might not be as familiar. We talked about a dashboard, but kind of in the meantime, I did have an infographic created. So this is fresh off the press today. So I haven't improved it. So they'll share it, but you guys can take a look and get the first look at it. Yeah, which should be fun. But no, I think that kind of trying to see for people that don't know what sustainability is or how it works in like a local level. I only have a few copies, I'm sorry. But it kind of shows, hey, here's what this means in our local context. We're bringing in grant money, we're saving water, we're producing our own electricity. So that's definitely something that we can promote in our tabling events and different things. Social media, e-news, especially around Earth Day. So that'll be good. And then our next meeting will be March the 12th.
I love this,
I
Alex.
have a question.
Yes.
I guess it's for everybody, but you as well, Alex. So if
there is a concern that grants are on the chopping block. Should we be coming up with a backup plan? Assuming the grants are cut and then the city council decides to scrap plans because of the grants being cut?
Yeah, I mean, that is something, so basically with the purchasing, I mean, we wouldn't be making any of these purchases without the grant right now. For the like electric vehicles, we did do analysis, basically, here's the total cost of ownership of each of these electric vehicles versus the other one. And the math is really, really close. I think, you know, over the lifespan, like the electric ones are actually cheaper even without the grants. So that's information that we will present when it comes time to purchase those vehicles. You know, so if we have the grant, it you know, really drops the ROI. But if even if we don't, you know, here's what this total cost of ownership looks like. So that's information that we have kind of at the ready. The urban heat measurement ones, that one's really just be dependent on if we get it or not. I'm not super optimistic that we'll get that one just because they're looking to try and get a really diverse group of cities from everything from like rural areas, tribal lands, different stuff like that. And they're only taking 10. So that one, see, and then the trail funding, I'm not sure how that will work. If there's alternative funding, maybe through some of our development credits or something like that. But we are kind of looking into that. And then if that tap kind of gets turned off from grants, like if we sort of see like, hey, there's unlikely we're going to receive funding from the Department of Education next, or and Department of Energy next fiscal year, then we'll try to plan for that within the budget process. So it is an interesting kind of landscape on the grants, and it's changing a lot. So we don't have a great answer, but we do have some kind of backup plans put in place.
I guess my biggest concern is if and when it was done and it didn't match up nicely with our schedule, we could see losing a whole year. Right? So that's the concern I have, is how can we prevent losing everything if things don't go our way? Grant-wise.
Yeah, and grants, I mean, they're very much like, not a lot of them are announced annually or anything like that. So a lot of it is basically the TCEQ one, for example. It was called for a request for applications came out, and you had about 40 days to put an application in. So it's not something that we would be able to preemptively budget for on a lot of these, but we do have vehicles that are coming up for replacement every year. So that's basically what we did on that. So we identified, okay, what all vehicles do we have funded or purchased just in our budget? And then the grants help save the money off of that. And potentially would maybe, you know, if their other expenses come in high, or maybe allow the city, if we get, you know, there'll be $69,000 in grant funding, maybe that helps purchase another vehicle that is due for replacement that we didn't have budgeted for. So it's, those 3 vehicles are going to be replaced anyway, just whether or not we can get the grant funding to tip the scales towards making sure that they're electric models versus traditional.
Would it be worthwhile to have a commitment for at least like 1 or 2, even if we didn't get the grant?
So that'll be the direction of council. So we'll provide the data costs for what the vehicles are for. So like one of them's F-150. So here's what the F-150 is. You know, standard model. Here's what the F-150 electric model is. You know, the electric model's purchasing cost or purchase price is higher. However, fuel costs, everything like that, and then we have the final total cost of ownership. At that point, it would just be whichever one council would like to purchase. So they, you know, they'll probably be the lowest price one. And I think we can show even without the grants that the electric models are cheaper over total cost. But if for some reason they prioritize purchase price or something like that, or, you know, maybe think the resale values on the traditional models will be higher than electric, you know, that's kind of there as a policy board, I think.
In the college, we have purchased a lot more Mavericks than Lightnings, and we've had really good results from the Mavericks.
Yes, we purchased a number of those as well.
That's excellent.
Yeah. So we've taken in quite a few on with the trucks that were getting 12, 14 miles per gallon to the Mavericks, which get like 4. So even if it's not an electric model, there are still some emissions with the hybrid, but we're, I mean, doubling the efficiency, and, you know, it is still a step in the right direction from a air pollution and emissions standpoint. So, and I think I don't know if they approved it or if they just brought it up, but I think 4 of the police cruisers are gonna now be hybrids. So I think they purchased those last council meeting, or at least we're briefed on those. So that's another one too, with how much those vehicles I saving a lot of fuel that way.
Any update on the solar field?
So the property has been moved to the Farmers Branch Local Government Corporation, last I heard. And so that's the kind of real estate vessel for the city. So that's what it looks like that they're moving forward to sell that property. We've been on hold, I guess, basically with that. So we'll see if something falls through and the city maintains ownership of the property. I have the RFP ready to go.
Yeah.
But so we'll see on that. So we're 2 steps back on some of this.
Yeah.
Nature of the beast.
I don't think you need a period after this, sustainability plan.
Okay.
But other than that, everything looks really, really good. This actually leads us into, I think, the perfect segue to the next agenda item, which is city events.
Yes, so can pull it up on the screen, but it was attached in the packet. Basically, I know that you guys have kind of we've tabled city events in the past. And so the Parks and Rec Department has their list of 2025 events. Citizen comment that mentioned the Gateway to the Globe. There's also Fish and Fun, and I'll send this again to everyone just so you can review it after the meeting. We don't really need to take any action on this, but basically it has the list of all the events, start and end time. And these are ones that we can get a table for. They're happy to do that. And then Elisa's, table events, Lauren's table events for us. So it's a good way to get out into the community, kind of be there. We'll get some more promotional items, try to get some kid focused ones as well. Some of these events are more family oriented. So those are different things. And then hopefully with like some of the infographics and some of the other giveaways, people can understand, okay, this is what the sustainability committee is doing. This is how it impacts the city, and then maybe try to take a behavior change. What can I do at home? I can bring my reusable water bottle, bring my Tupperware instead of using a, disposable plate, different stuff like that. So I will resend this to everyone too, just so everyone has a chance to look at it. But over the next, we'll probably bring this up again next month. If there's interest, availability on members to table these events, let me know, and we can work at getting the tables reserved, getting all the equipment, materials, and everything, promotional items to committee members, and start to coordinate that. So if there's interest by the group to table those, wonderful. And it doesn't have to be all of them or anything like that. It can just be maybe 1, 2, one in the spring, one in the fall. That's the main portion of this.
Thank you for helping us get in
Yeah.
on this. And actually, not only is it great for visibility for our group, but it's also pretty fun, especially if you do the Halloween one, because the kiddos are super cute with their little costumes. So I encourage you guys to volunteer when the time comes. They're actually really fun.
And it looks like they're moving the Halloween one inside the
It looks like, yeah, that's a great connection.
I mean, it's kind of a big deal if it gets rained out.
All right, so the last item on our, not quite last, next item on the agenda is receive updates from subcommittee. Val, do you want to do built natural environment?
Sure. So Lauren and I met and decided probably just to try to focus down to one thing of trying to find some spot in the city that, and we've talked about them, the options, but for rewilding or changing the landscape to a lower maintenance, xeriscaping. But we kind of need to know what area we're talking about, because they probably all would be treated slightly differently. And how they would look. But, you know, it's more just building more spots of demonstration of what this could look like.
Mhm.
How does it positively impact the city? What does it look like? Does it look messy? Does it, you know, what does it attract? And so, to answer all the questions, I mean, we're just gonna have to probably pick a spot and start and do it and see if it works and see if everybody's happy and what their concerns are. And then, you know, see if we can spread that, whether that's medians or literally a little corner or what. But we can certainly make recommendations. We've been researching, you know, looks at urban areas and what that looks like for cities doing that. But again, we probably just need to get permission to have a spot, even if it's a very small spot, just to start with.
I believe next month we'll have Eric Miller, who's our stormwater engineer, and one of the things that he's working on is the grow zones along Rawhide Creek.
Okay,
So this would be a great thing to bring up with him, and he might have some avenues on how y'all can get involved with that.
okay.
I don't know if that totally meets the thing that, because you kind of mentioned more rewilding, maybe sort of like the prairie
Well, I
illustration.
mean, it could be any of them,
Okay.
you know, I've seen lots of examples and there are ones by creeks and pathways or little corners and it needs to be things that are visible to people all the time, not just, oh, if you walk over into this dark corner, you'll find it. Yeah.
Used to be at Rawhide and, Josie through that chart.
Yeah. Yeah. So they see it and they either think, oh, that's really cool, you know, or so, yeah, I think that'd be great. There's also, in my Google search, there's quite a few books on urban sustainability with nature, but they're pretty expensive. So I was gonna go to half price books, but even half price, they're still gonna be expensive. Do you guys already have a library of anything or have a budget to get educational materials?
I think we have some budget for educational materials, and then we could also see what's just available through Farmers Branch Library. And I think a lot of times they'll take like if they don't have something in their collection or a way to access it. Because I think sometimes they like shared things with other neighboring cities. So if it's not in their collection, sometimes they can get it.
Okay, I'll get a list with the authors. and-
Yeah, send that my way.
Yeah.
And I might even have some personal ones too.
Okay, yeah, they were pretty pricey, like in the 80 and above range, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Better be a
That's pricey.
great book, that's all I'm saying, with lots of pictures, yes.
Thank you, Val. Communications.
Well, we don't have anything, but this is great. And I think and this is great. I love that. I'd like to see this like on a poster board.
Yeah, we were thinking about trying to blow it up, and I even showed it to my boss today, and they're like, let's put it up in City Hall on like the easel.
Like one of those like that coordinated
Yeah, like on the.
form board, like that for like tabling.
Mhm.
And then we have been working on Canva to like get maybe little, on the table places, like QR code for the toilet rebate, QR code for the, sprinklers, QR code for the solar power switch or whatever. I am a little surprised that there's only 2,000 people who have 100% unit. We have like 35,000 residents. For the power switch, we only have 2,000 residents participating in 100% renewable electricity,
Well, that's
which
just
is
through the,
great.
yeah,
Through
but,
the power switch.
right, but I didn't do the power switch, but I made sure that when I did sign up for one through, or choose or whatever,
Mhm.
that I got 100% renewable plan, so there's probably other people like me.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure
So-
there
But I mean, that'd be really tough to try and figure out.
calculate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say, I think probably at least like the, gateway to the globe, because that's getting pretty quick. They're probably gonna need an answer
Yes, on that.
on whether or not
What day is that?
it's on the 29th, which is a Saturday. Is it
29th February or March?
March 29th?
4 to 9.
4 PM to 9 PM, which is perfect. All this 8 AM nonsense.
True.
No, thank you.
Are there any plans to share the infographic on social or anything like that?
I'm sorry?
To share that on social?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to figure out if we want to try to wait closer to Earth Day and have that as part of the Earth Day messaging, or if we want to just do it now and, okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
and do it again.
And then,
And then again.
yeah, definitely want to, yeah, do that for a lot of our electronic outreach. We'll put that on the website too, just so people are, Google sustainability or environmental farmers branch. Hopefully it takes them to there and they can, just it's short and sweet, easy to kind of see, oh, this is what sustainability means. Cause I'm sure you guys have met people and you say I'm on the sustainability committee. And
What's that all about? Yeah.
yeah.
Is there any way to get a portion or all of this, like in the banner pictures that go, like, they do the Independence Day celebration and they do the whatever, and slide over to the next thing. Even if it's not all of this, if we could get, some kind of header that goes across that main banner, because I mean, it's a little bit like navigating, you gotta go to Public Works, and then you gotta go to sustainability, and then you gotta go to trees. And it's kind of a lot of, and I think you said something like 27 people or something have visited our page specifically last year.
Yeah, like one of the small ones.
Right, it was just like, and I'm like, thinking last year I went and looked at that page like at least half a dozen times. So that's not even a real number because, how many times have we personally accessed it?
It'd be nice to have a QR code that goes to the sustainability page.
And also,
Like I said, I just got that today.
No, it's great.
No, I love it.
I like the idea of having a QR code that takes them straight to the page.
if you blow it up and put it on an easel, like in City Hall, you could schlep it to the events.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
use that.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love it. I love
Sure, we
shopping.
don't need like that.
Yeah, do you?
My favorite.
Ordinary.
So that's it. I don't really have
I think
anything.
it's 29.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say yes. We want a table at the Gateway to the Globe.
Okay, then I'll follow up with an email with everyone, just so you have the calendar. Yeah.
I'm here, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
Cool.
Toasty little nugget over here. She'll be there too.
Yeah.
Her little outfit,
in
their little
March, it'll
face
be-
sticking
it'll
out from the fur line.
So I'm just 2 liters.
It'll be 90 by the end of March. So.
I'll be okay.
And any update, water?
Oh, just doing my chin hands about the smart meters.
Yeah.
Once that's live though, like my outreach for that is gonna be, I'm gonna kind of go hard on that, is just let people know you have this meter, you can log in here, you can check your water usage, you can reduce your water usage. You can see how much you use in a day. Oh, today I used 100 gallons, and I really need to use 100 gallons, Like I said before, I'm a person that likes to see visual things. And if something isn't, if it's not something that's really easy to see, because people fart around their phones all the time, it's like they'll see an app, it's like, oh, I wonder what my water's today. It's like, oh my God, I used that much stuff. So like just being able to get that to people, once that happens, that's something that I would be encouraging people to put a mailer in the water bill, scan this QR code to log into your water bill and get the app so you can see your usage. Let's all reduce usage, save money so we can pay the extra money for the landfill.
Right.
Is the city getting more smart meters or?
Yes, so we're like, I think 98% on the residential side, of all those being installed. So they're kind of coming back and they've done their initial install throughout the city and they're basically coming back through, and the ones that were having issues or, they couldn't have access to at that time, putting those finishing touches on. And then the issue is that they have to have all of the meters installed prior to launching that platform that Price is talking about, where it would allow a resident to look up their individual meter. Because if not, then you basically have to pay a second initiation fee, I guess, for the software.
Who's the manufacturing meter?
I don't know, off the top of my head.
I that's the industry I started in, for Samsung. Smart meters.
Well, fancy.
Do you have any other?
All right, moving along, update from committee members on activities attended.
I got a stack, but I'll let someone else go first.
Take it away.
Okay, so I went to the Council of Governments and they were pretty wound up about the grants, saying everybody get it in now, get it while you can. They're pretty concerned about that. It was a session that involved a lot of higher education stuff. And I was a little bit surprised that there were so few institutions that sorted their recycling. It's almost all single stream. And UNT has a vegan dining room, so they do a compost post-consumer, which is cool.
Yep.
But it's, I guess, pretty tricky to do post-consumer when you got meat products and bones and whatnot. It attracts a different kind of pest.
Well, it depends on the composting. If it's industrial compost, like we have at my work, put the bones in, put the meat in, because it goes in the giant windrows. And it basically it's being cooked at 150 degrees all day long because of the heat that's generated by it. Then they come by, they churn it until it's the mush. So bones
If I understand right, they're doing it on site.
oh, okay, yeah. So that's that. Yeah, the one
So they
that
want veggies only.
yeah, the one we use they have their own big plot of land where they can put the giant windrows, and I mean they don't really have to worry about the critters, and if there really are critters, they kind of become compost too. So,
The hawks can get them.
Oh, okay.
sorry.
Will do.
They get into the compost in the windrow.
Now, I missed my number 2, Price. You got me all distracted thinking about melting corpses of animals. I'm lost. I have like 3 things on the list. I got through one.
While you retrieve that from your memory bank.
Yeah, please.
Anyone else?
Sorry, man.
I just thought Raiders of the Lost Ark.
For that, Samsung, we've got a pretty interesting presentation from a company called ERI. They do a lot of e-waste recycling and stuff. They're one of our preferred partners that we have. We do some work with them on the West Coast. They have a place in Flower Mound that I'm going to tour for like business purposes. That I was mentioning I could bring back some photos and then put it Google and to give actually a tour of that location. But e-waste recycling is a range of quality of partners that do that sort of stuff. Not great, but from what I hear, this one's a little bit better with like filters and everything. It gets very, very dusty when you're grinding down like parts and stuff like that to different particle levels, and then putting them off and stuff afterwards and stuff like that. But they do a lot of their businesses in state and local government regulations and stuff that are good. They have interesting insight into what states are doing for e-waste compliance, stuff like that too.
Do they do any like corporate sponsorship of events or anything? Or?
I can ask them. They just talk to me because they're money, but
Sure.
you know, I'm sure that they have some, partnerships that are more like institutional partnerships and stuff.
That's opportunity. Opportunity.
But they're one of the few companies that actually do true solar panel recycling, which is not actually done by a lot of places. So,
What place is that one?
here,
Yeah, right.
yeah.
We got some, because we had some broken ones from our install that we have, so maybe.
It's just the letters ERI, recycling, they're Stewart certified, so. Region.
Well, I guess basically from before to try and resume. So we're doing cardboard separately and selling it off. And it's basically making just enough money to pay for the baling wire. So it's not like a lucrative thing, but it's breaking even. And then getting out of the dumpsters pays for the balers. So overall, it's been productive. And then we get scrap metal out too, and then vendors have to separate too and handle their own. But I just thought it was interesting that higher ed isn't doing any kind of sorted streams. And I was just wondering like, why is that? Because it is even cost positive, but they're all doing single stream, throw it in their recycling dumpster and cross your fingers, it doesn't end up in the landfill. I thought that was very interesting. And then I guess there's, we have, man, I'm still thinking about.
Come on, man.
Alex, you just, for the single stream versus the separating, recycling. Farmers Branch used to have where you had to separate everything for the curbside pickup.
Mhm.
What is the, what was the sales pitch to go from that to single stream?
So I think the contamination, so the single stream just makes it easier for people. But still, maybe not contamination, convenience.
Convenient.
So, it makes it easier for people to move. So hopefully then you would have more uptick to it. And then like if you are doing the sorting is supposed to help reduce some of the contamination, whereas like Ted with their baler, they're controlling everything that goes in, so they know they're getting a good product. I think it's harder to do that on when it's more wide open. Thing, whereas, with the single stream, it can allows for human error of the contamination to go in there and hope that gets sorted out. But you can, I think, get a higher value for it if you can regulate it the way the Dallas College is doing.
And International Paper will accept things like pizza boxes. Their rule is we don't want it to stink. So if it's not full of food, but it's just a little greasy, they'll take it. So it's not as strict as it used to be, because it used to be very strict. Like if it was ever used for food at all, they just don't want it.
Yeah.
But now it's become lucrative enough that they'll be a little bit more flexible on it.
Because I'm just curious of like how much contamination you really like. Okay, so maybe it's more convenient, but if the whole recycle bin is contaminated with whatever, and they have to throw the whole thing out,
Right.
versus the single, like where you're storing it, you may have less participation, but actually more of the stuff is recycled. I mean, that's,
Yeah, I think there's points to that. And then I think the other thing too is maybe on the collection, if they're having to pick up 2 bins or run 2 routes.
Sure.
Trucks.
Sure. Yeah.
All good points.
Well, as Alex mentioned, I was able to go to the board meeting, and then I also was able to connect with the council person about our sustainability efforts. So that was productive. Then I'm going to move us on to the final agenda item of the evening, and that is agenda items for future sustainability committee meeting. I know I've got a couple from folks already. I know Val, you had one about timing meetings, and then Jasper, I know you had one about training.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Do you say something about that or?
Yeah. Just fill the group in a little bit.
Oh, it's one of my former colleagues that I worked with actually at the place that did smart meters. He works for Train, and he mentioned that maybe they could come out and talk to us about how the HVAC systems work to do decarbon, like measure scope 1, scope 2, and focus on decarbonation efforts that they have. So yeah, I'm gonna have lunch with them next week, but yeah, see what sort of availability they have. And they're based out of.
Speaking of Wednesday nights, I know there's been some discussion about that day still works for folks and all that. Should not. Anything else?
See, I had something, what was it? It was, see, Ted's getting me back now. If, I know like we want people to focus on the power switch, but I'm just wondering if there's a way, because we were just talking about, I got mine through Choose or whatever, that there was a way maybe to get word out to people that even if they don't do power switch, there's still 100% renewable programs that they can do when they go to Power and Choose. They have the option where you can click the box and it only shows you 100% renewable. So something like that, just to kind of educate people that it is out there and you can get it.
I do get a lot of phone calls from folks on the power switch, and especially if their contract expires not at that time, when we're doing a power switch. So I do kind of walk them through that website, and we can't recommend any company, but I kind of tell them, hey, for power switch, it's a fixed rate, no time of use, 100% renewable, so at least they aren't potentially signing up for electricity plans that are scams, or, something like that, the more simplified version. So I do that on like a one-off basis, but that's something we could look into is provide some information on how to navigate that website, which is traditionally very difficult.
Yeah.
It'd be nice to have like a 30-second,
Like a little video.
like a video to put on social to do something.
To someone on the Zoom and, with a really slow mouse, like in the presentations.
I know.
Move over to this.
Well, we have talked before, when we attended the city council meeting and there were people from the senior center that were like, I don't know about this rebate. How do I find it? And, like maybe visiting, having a, informative presentation to the senior center branch connection group about how to do the power switch, how to get a rebate on their toilet, how to, sign up for the trees. Even though it's only at a certain time, at least let them know this is gonna be coming and this is how you would do it.
Table event too. Oh, yeah. All right. That is the last item on our agenda. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Okay.
I'll second. Oh, thanks, Bobby. Go.
All in favor?
Well, so we have to
All right, it is 8:12. You need that.
Look, there's a cup right there. I just bought it for you.
Okay.
Just grab one.
So Lisa seconded the motion.
I mean, first.
Keep it in.
What about it?